How's it going, guys? Josh Olufemii here, live from LA. And in this video, we're going to be talking about 5 VFX techniques that I think you should know about. I got my computer here and we're going to check out the first video. Okay, this video is pretty cool. I think the crux behind breaking down this video is going to be finding out where that transition point is. Okay, so obviously the ball isn't going through the computer screen, so I'm sure there's a green screen involved in this somehow. The ball is being dropped up from the sky in front of that green computer screen and then landing on the keyboard, then rolling off of the computer and off of the desk and then falling off the desk. This is where the transition happens. The falling of the ball off of the desk is being matched up with the falling of the ball down onto the keyboard. Those two falls are meshed together, maybe with a little bit of a masking trick. And this transition is basically happening in front of that green computer screen. I feel like videos like this, where you have continuous loops, are really good for the algorithm because it's going to cause someone to keep rewatching that video over and over again. And this is really good for the audience retention rate inside your analytics. The longer the audience retention rate is, the longer the social media platform is going to want to push your video. All right, and here's the next one.
Oh no, I hope I don't fall.
This is actually a really cool transition. This used to be really big on TikTok, I remember. I believe these are just straight cuts too. There's nothing crazy involving VFX software going on here. It's actually fun. You can actually see the tape that he placed on the table as kind of like an aiming point to hit his head on. I actually already know how he did this. I've seen videos like this before. All he did was he put on a sweater and then he banged his head on that piece of tape. Then he cut the camera, took the sweater off, held the sweater in his hand, and then he banged his hand holding the sweater on that same piece of tape. And then he just kept alternating sweaters out. All right, next video.
Ooh.
All right, this is cool. I'm already seeing some things. I think this is just another hard cut. I think he probably just put a piece of tape in the middle of that trampoline and then he fell back onto that piece of tape and then he cut the camera and then he fell forward onto that same piece of tape and then he cut the camera. And then he placed one clip in the timeline and then placed the other clip right next to it, except flipped it upside down. And then when you play through both of those clips, you have a continuous movement of him falling straight through the trampoline because he's falling on that same piece of tape on both sides.
No big, I feel like pop. Shoot the shot. I'm coming in hot.
All right, this one's a little bit more complex than the last two we've looked at. Again, the crucial thing is gonna be to find the transition point. That's what's gonna really allow us to break this down. So again, of course, there's a point where the tiny toy skateboard turns into a real skateboard. So what I'm doing is I'm looking and scanning all along his body, trying to find the point where there's a jump cut, where he changes from the guy holding the toy skateboard to the guy holding the real skateboard. I'm looking and I don't see anything really on his feet changing that much, but then when I go up his legs and then I see his shoulders and then his arm, I see a jump cut. What I think he does is he actually walks into the scene with the skateboard and then he freezes. He doesn't move. He locks his feet into place, so his feet don't really move. And then I believe he just drops the little skateboard. And then he has his friend on the side throw the big skateboard and then they say action, and then he moves really quick, catches the big skateboard, and then he drops the skateboard on the ground and then he rolls off. And then of course they put the footage into After Effects, and then as soon as he lets go of the little skateboard, I think they freeze that frame and they cut the skateboard out so that you have like a frozen video still of just the cut out skateboard, the little toy skateboard. And then they add some keyframes and allow it to twirl a little bit, and then they increase the scale and then they match it to the point where the big skateboard is coming in. And that's where the transition takes place. Both skateboards mesh together. And then on top of that, I think there might have been a little bit of content aware fill, basically taking out where the big skateboard came over from the side of the frame, and then also taking out the little skateboard as it drops down to the ground. So in the end, you're left with a beautiful continuous shot of the little skateboard coming out of his hands, somewhat disappearing, and then the big skateboard just coming out of nowhere, and then he takes the skateboard and then he skates off. I really like how this clip ends, where you can actually see him at the same time as he's coming out and then as he's coming back into the scene to start the loop again. This was done really easily just by masking. Because the background is staying the same, you can't see where the mask line is. So guys, before we move on to the last shot, I'm going to tell you about Envato Elements, which is the sponsor for today's video. It's basically a subscription service that provides unlimited downloads to millions of incredible digital assets that you can use for your next editing project. Whether it be stock footage, video elements, VFX packs, sound effects packs, title packs, lower thirds packs, social media logos, YouTube intros, sick overlays / compositing elements like fire, fog, and lightning. And trust me, it's a lot cheaper buying a subscription to Elements than buying each of those digital products individually. So guys, click on the link below and make sure to click on the annual subscription. This is going to actually give you a crazy 50% discount, which means you're gonna have the entire Envato Elements library for the equivalent of $16.50 per month. That's $16.50 for a library of 1 million assets. Free unlimited downloads. It's a pretty good deal. And guys, after you've signed up for Elements for a little bit, leave me a DM on Instagram, made by Olufemii, and tell me what you think. All right guys, let's get back to the video. All right guys, last video that we're going to watch is by Shipeland, I believe it's called. Sorry for the mispronunciation. Seamless. Okay, so this is what I think. The point is we have to break up the video into all of the transition points. As you can see, the first time he reaches over with no car in his hand, and then he places his hand over the real car. The real car is basically then frozen and masked out, and for the first few seconds you have him holding up a frozen real car. And then through a series of animated masks, I believe that is transformed into the shot where he's actually holding the fake toy car, and then he then brings the toy car back over to the bucket and washes it. I believe all of the shots in this video were shot on a stationary tripod. I don't think there was any camera movement originally. I believe it was all done in post. What this does is it enables compositing to be done easily, even with a camera pan in the middle, because the camera pan is being done in post. If the camera pan was done in camera, it would have had to have been done in a perfectly identical manner in every shot that was being composited together. Not a fun thing to try to do. I believe he puts the car back in the same manner. The shot starts off with the toy car and then is composited with a shot of the real car. As far as how the effect was done, where the real car kind of impacts down on the ground, an easy hypothesis that could have been done is if you had someone literally jumping inside the car at the opportune moment, and then I believe a bucket of water was then thrown onto the car from the top, and you could see it leak through the sides and then splatter on the ground around the car. I believe the flume of water cascading down onto the car from the top was probably masked out and replaced with the background. In the last shot, when he picks the car up, I do not believe that it ever transitions to the toy car. I believe that's literally just a still hand picking up a still frame of the real car. You can see that the hand is still as well as the car, because you can see that there's kind of a sloppy tracking job where the still hand is being tracked to the real moving arm. That was cool. It was a fun video to watch. Great job. And guys, that's the last video. If you guys want to see more videos like this here on the channel, just let me know in the comments. Please make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Remember to get a subscription to Envato Elements. And as always, remember to keep it chill.